Social identity theory. Really tricky theory. Very tough. Alright, let's see how students do. So what is social identity theory? I mean, really, that's one of the key questions. It's a theory that tries to explain intergroup conflict and more generally behavior using our belonging to groups. 3 key components and using it to explain behavior. Quizzes changed its name to Wayground because they want to be more than just a quiz service. I think that's dumb. But anyway, I like quizzes. It's a great name. This is the game to play. AI is overrated. We need to come up with our own ideas for teaching. And anyway, he says that as he's explained to someone his ideas for you to use. Anyway, the Bobadil studies. A good review, 9 minutes, like all of their crash course and those videos. He talks really fast, like me, and there's lots of content there, but it's a pretty good review. Now things get, again, pretty grim. Looking at social identity theory, originated out of the Holocaust, World War II. Henri Tajfel was a Polish Jew. And so, just looking at genocide, again, real-world examples of horrible behavior, and we ask the question, why? Why does this happen? Social identity theory gives us one explanation. This is from the old, the same idea. Interestingly, sometimes I was just coming up with lesson plans and I would create an idea and it was the exact same one as the previous unit, and other times I just copied and pasted the same one because I liked them. This was one of those where I decided I came up with that activity, then looked at the old lesson plan and realized it was pretty much the same thing. So just getting students to understand the idea of in-groups and out-groups. So, what's their in-group, what's the out-group? And it makes sense the out-group should be some sort of corresponding, related group. Usually in conflict with one another. So see if they can come up with those. And then in the box here, they write down adjectives that would describe it, and then we reflect and go, were you demonstrating in-group bias? And see, what were the adjectives you used to describe your in-group? Were they all positive? Were they neutral? Or were they negative? And look at the ratio. Was it more positive than negative? Maybe you're showing in-group bias, and look at, okay, why are you tempted to do that? Then trying to understand the idea of this is social identity. This activity is trying to understand and comprehend the concept of social identity. Students write down their workbooks, the things that shape their identity, what makes them them. Then they circle anything that relates to them being part of a group. And then we say, look, that's your social identity. It's the sense of yourself when you're in the group, but also how belonging to a group shapes who you are. It's a really abstract concept, social identity theory. So if they don't comprehend it, it's okay. There's simpler ones to get later. I realize I need to delete the slide. It's a copy and paste error. So a little bit now. These slides are mainly with a little tweak copied from the video I've made on social identity theory on my YouTube. A little bit of just context here. Okay, another copy and paste here. That's 2 slides. I'll edit all these. That's one reason why I make these videos as well, to help me go through and edit. All right, so what is social identity theory? Now, my best tip for understanding social identity theory is to tell students it explains why people might discriminate or be prejudiced against someone from a different group to them. Why do we have this tendency, and in the extreme case, genocide, to have an in-group, out-group, an us versus them mentality? Why do we do that? Why do we go, our group's awesome, that group sucks? That's what social identity theory is trying to explain. And once they can get that idea, you go, okay, that's the end point. So then you can use these concepts of categorization, identity, comparison to get to that end point where someone might go, we're awesome, they suck. Okay, and so the idea being social categorization first, before anything else can happen, I have to be thinking about us and them. Then I go, right, us, my social identity, who I am is tied into this group that I belong to. Therefore, I've got this innate desire to make this group good. And to make this my group better, I have to compare it to the out group, and I do so in a biased way. I go, my group rocks, we're brilliant. And sports fans are a really good example. We'll get to it in a second. And we do that for self-esteem, right? We wanna feel superior. If our group is seen as better, then then yeah, we will feel better. I wonder also, I'm just thinking now, if it's to reduce, remove, eliminate any cognitive dissonance. Imagine going, I'm proud of being, I'm in this group, but my group's not as good as the other group. It's kind of like conflicting thought and action. So to reduce the cognitive dissonance could be why we have biased comparisons. I like Burging and Corfing because they are specific examples that students can talk about, and it makes it a little bit more real without having to go to the extreme of genocide. Why people might want to murder a person in the other team. It's much more common that we say we when we win and they when we lose. Okay. Now I toyed with the idea of having a chapter on prejudice, discrimination, but I didn't because I don't want to have another massive negative chapter theme. Criminology, addiction, depression, prejudice. I felt like that could just get a bit down, and I would only really be doing it for social identity theory, and so that's why I went with cults instead. But we can, if they, they can use social identity theory. The behaviour they could use would be Burging or Corfing, but they could also do stereotypes, prejudice, discrimination. Stoked to find this video again on Facebook. Really good clip that shows the us-them phenomenon with genocide and gives a first-hand account of the Bosnian genocide. And the really fascinating study in there is the one with the hand getting injected by the needle and different responses to that. Okay, then notes. It's now getting towards the end of the unit, and whatever assessment you've got planned, students should be getting ready for that. I haven't put loads of assessment materials in these TSPs for this first round, and that's mainly, it's a time constraint, and it's also a little bit of I think everyone's going to approach this differently, so I kind of want to leave that up to you. I'll give you some advice. I would suggest a short answer, I've given you some short answer question in about 50 minutes with heaps of time or unlimited time in a class closed book. That's what I would do, but I'm just kind of leaving it a little bit up to you to set your assessments. Right, getting there. The next one will be second to last on cognitive dissonance.